Good morning, Monday people. It's so good to see you all here today. You have Team Jennifer on the call today. I'm Jennifer Ogilvy. I'll be your on camera facilitator, and your off camera facilitator, who is on camera right now, is giving you a wave. Jennifer Krippner. Team Jennifer's here, and we are going to get this week kicked off, our first full week of August, our first full week of enchantment, our brand new theme. We are really, really glad to welcome you. Make sure your chat is set to everyone. That's how we will communicate. This is mics off for you, cameras off for you. Your job is to sit back and get yourself set up for a fabulous week. Before I forget, I want to remind you that next Monday weekly setup is going to be in the evening. So we will have it at 7 o'clock Central Time. So if you can just be patient with that time. It's very unusual that we have to move it to the evening. But yes, Kai remembers I announced this. I have my three grandkids. Today I have two. I have the older two. Jimbo's got them, but the crazy one's going to be with us next Monday, my little 3-year-old. And that just, I don't know. Two kids is manageable. Three kids is like four donkeys and a hurricane. So everyone else is booked up. So I'll be doing it at night in the evening. We're still going to do that Monday setup. So anyway, yeah, we all have a crazy one. Man, I wouldn't trade that kid for the world. But also, you don't need to have him help me next Monday morning. And it's a little tight to cover Monday morning. So, anyway, so there's that story. So, plan to see me next Monday evening. Maybe it'll be an early jammy day for all of us. We'll just get cozy and sit in our jammies. So, there are community guidelines that I have on the screen, and it's just that reminder about creating this space with one another. I'm so glad that we're here. Ronica, yeah, four donkeys and a hurricane. Maybe that's how we're going to feel this week. We're gonna approach it with a lot of energy. Um, and yes, I know school is starting. Texas, our area. Well, my daughter-in-law is back at school today, which is why I'm in charge of the grandkids. And next Tuesday is the big start for the majority of the Dallas, Texas area. So yeah, everybody's going to be so tired next week. For if that affects your routine in any way. I live actually right out this window is an elementary school. And so those car doors are going to be shutting a little earlier. It's been so quiet over the summer. So even though I'm no longer teaching or in the school environment, I still feel like I have that schedule going because there's activity next door. Couple of great graphics. Y'all saw this one several weeks ago. I started sharing it. Self-care starts on Monday. So let's let Monday be that new beginning. Think about ways that you can embrace very simple things. I thought these things worked so well with our new theme of enchantment. Walk outside and gaze at the clouds. What a great thing to do. Inhale a scent you love. Of course, we all benefit from a mini declutter, maybe trying a different way to work or a different pattern of driving to a regular place you go to. Of course, treat yourself. I have a little chart of self-care versus self-soothing things to look at today. Unplug and unwind. And then the 5 days to schedule every month. I really want to start sharing this kind of at the front end of our months. An unplug day, a self care day, a reset day, a learning day, and a fun day. And just imagine how you'll feel if you can throw some of these days, pepper them into your month. You'll just be so proud of yourself. So, of course, enchantment isn't about magical thinking, it's about being fully present in the world. And that's really the mindset I think that we all are taking. Like, where do we find enchantment in our day to day life? So, we're going to start by kicking off our brand new enchantment mind map. Then we will do our rosebud thorn reflection. And then I have some great examples to show you. You probably already know what you're going to do in your journal, but I've got some examples to show you of other people's work. just for that inspiration. I didn't ask if is there anybody here who's new for the very first time. Feel free to drop a me in the chat. The beautiful thing, if you are here for the first time, you're seeing all our familiar folks talk to each other, check in with each other. How's it going? What's going on? Did you get to feeling better? All that stuff. You will love being part of this community and this accountability group. So welcome to all. So let's now it's time. It's time for our new mind map. So find a blank place in your journal. And we're thinking about what if enchantment wasn't reserved for just fairy tales, but you find them already woven into the corners of your life, just waiting to be noticed or discovered. And I think we do a pretty good job of this, right? We really do try to, turn our frowns upside down and see the magic in lots of things that we do, those glimmers, those moments of noticing. But over the next several weeks, we're going to be guided through a set of these journaling reflections designed to help you map the enchantment in your world. You're going to explore people, places, objects, memories, and quiet moments that awaken something sacred. I love that word, or spark joy, or simply make you pause and smile. And I had the privilege of getting to do the mind map questions this month. So I am all about it. this so I gave you some hints here. Jen also dropped them in the chat. Oh, I love that you're having your cup of tea, Alice. That's actually going to be something I want to incorporate on a daily basis is tea. It's so good for you. Um, so go to a blank page in your journal, the definition page. I'll show you my page. The quote page, you could use your weekly scratch pad, sticky notes. Maybe you have a sidekick journal that you keep these things in. And we're going to consider the natural rhythms of our days that align with a sense of beauty or calm this week. Think about the time of day when the world feels enchanted, like the morning fog or that golden hour of the rising or setting sun, or maybe the silence of the late night. When I had little bitty babies a million years ago, I loved that like 2:30 feeding in the middle of the night, and there was a street light in front of my house, and I'd sit by the window in the dark in the rocking chair and kind of learned some new patterns of my neighborhood, those early birds that left for work, and it was just quiet. And oh, that was such a good time. Of course, I don't do that anymore, but that would have been one of the things, had it been 35 years ago, I would have said was my favorite time. I found such solace there. When you're thinking about that time, respond to how do you feel during these times and what rituals or reflections come easiest there. So, I've got some imagery to inspire you about different types of the times of the day. And then I'm sharing my mind map page. I did my cookie cutter hack and found my star cookie cutter to trace for my 4 weeks. There'll be 4 prompts this month. And for me, I talked about I love to sit at my kitchen table in the morning and the sun rises in the west window and I watch it over the kitchen table. And just that stillness of sipping my coffee and watching the pattern change on the table as the world wakes up is so peaceful for me. And it gives me time to reflect like, okay, what does the day bring in? What do I need to do? What do I want to do? How am I going to face the world? When I pour my coffee and that sun is rising, that's a little view out my kitchen sink window, and you can kind of see how the lights coming in and hitting the sides of the tree and stuff. And I think that's such a magical time. I'm fortunate that I get to notice that I'm now staying at home and get to see that. Um, but this James Clear quote is perfect for this reflection. Find the beauty and joy in your daily rituals, and you will find beauty and joy in your daily life. To love your habits is to love your days, and to love your days is to love your life. So it all comes together when we put those things in place that bring our personal sense of enchantment. Since this is week 1, I'm gonna give you a little extra time to work on this because I know you might wanna set up some spaces and get your page ready. I'll go back and forth between these couple of slides while you work on this, and then we'll get going with our setup. I've loved reading what you shared in the chats. You have some very beautiful sacred spaces. Some of them are inside, some of them are outside. And, comments made about like, I just don't like the morning, but finding a way to maybe reframe it and find that little bit of magic can really help you realign your thoughts on, here we go, day, let's do this. I love that maybe, you find quiet, and it could be, think about maybe you take a late night shower and you dim the lights and it's just your escape. Those times of days are so important to acknowledge and to kind of remind yourself that you're worth noticing and taking time for those spaces, and those rituals and routines will come easier when you're in those enchanted spots in your life. So thank you. Thanks for embracing week one. We have four very fun prompts this month. So now I can't wait for next week. So it is now time to do our rosebud thorn reflection. And you may be finishing up July if you are for your rosebud thorn, because you want to keep all of July in July, or you may embrace page 30 in your August journal. It'll be page 30 in your August, and it will be, hold on, sorry, page 56 in July if you're going to do your rosebud thorn reflection there. But this is just that, like the little title says, a micro action for mindful reflection. So we're going to kind of take a look at the things that didn't go well. We're going to name them. We're going to give them power by putting them on paper and maybe being able to leave them behind. We've got some things blooming and budding in our lives. It can be as simple as a brand new week. And then we need to think about what was the rose for this past week. I'll start with my thorn. My mom's got some health issues and she's, in another town, but she's got a compression fracture in her back, and it's got me very worried about what that means overall for her overall health. But she'll be taking a journey through a rehab place this week to hopefully get her strong again. She still lives at home, y'all. So we're trying to preserve that if we can. My bud is this week is Camp Grand Happy. And so that's what I call this time when I get those kids. And I'm very excited. We have a big list of things to do, big plans for the week. So that's my bud. And then my littlest had an early birthday party, and I got to do his birthday cake. And that was my rose this week, was just being able to celebrate 3 years old. My goodness. So anyway, I want to know what yours are. Please share in the chat. If you need a little support right now because your thorns are really thorny, put that in the chat and let us just give you some virtual love. And just knowing that communities there gives a lot of power to how you handle those thorns. And then we'll get on with the rest of our setup. Hey, Sandra, what's time zone are you in? I want to make sure that we're all sending you some good thoughts this afternoon. You said 3 o'clock. You have an appointment to put down one of your fur babies today. So tell us what time zone you're in, and we'll get our times aligned so that we can send you just some loving thoughts into the universe while you're doing that tough job. That is never an easy thing to do, even though we know it's the right thing to do. Okay, so she's in the Eastern time zone. So y'all adjust. She'll be there at 3 today. So adjust accordingly and know that you've got your Sonder family thinking about you while you're taking care of that tough thing. I'm sorry. Ugh, life and the thorns, right? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move forward into our setup. So let's turn to page 32 and 33. And y'all know I love to start with a couple of fun things to think about. Now, it is enchantment. And so, what a fun way to frame out your days. This could be just your one little thing that you do, and you pick a fun word to make an alliteration out of every day. And I will go back and forth between all these slides when we work on this page. So don't worry if you miss something. But like, if you have a tuneful Tuesday, that's pretty enchanted. Fairy tale Friday. So, just even calling it that, still having your regular day, but making your mindset frame that day out a little bit differently could be a fun way to embrace this idea of enchantment in our life. Also, our fun days this week today is chocolate chip cookie day. I hereby give you all permission to go get a yummy warm chocolate chip cookie. But there's some fun things to maybe incorporate into your life. Right? Yeah, just a regular day, Annalisa. Like I still have to go grocery shopping and do the laundry and clean the floors. But it is Fantasy Friday. Living the dream, right? Um, please notice the quote for this page. It's from Maya Angelou, and she says, "This is a wonderful day. I have never seen one. I have never seen this one before." Isn't it the greatest way to frame out your day? Like it's new, it's magical, it's brand new and shiny. So if you like that quote, write it in your setup this morning. I'll go back through all these too, so don't worry. Here are a couple of just examples of this page. I really like the idea of saying like the one over there on the left, I want to feel lovely. And then for setting the goals, it says to feel more lovely, I will, and then put those things down, which I love that. This person on the left also has set goals for the week, a certain number of times that they want something to happen within that habit and activity tracker. Whereas the one on the right is just tracking in the activity tracker. So not really setting goals. Um, but their goals or their goals for a certain number of times to do those habit activities, but notice their three goals are very basic: household, personal, business, and then their to-dos directly sync up and align with that. So I love that. Let's go now, break it all down. So you hopefully did set some intentions for this month of enchantment, and maybe looked at that stop, start, and continue box and filled that in with some things. So I want to ask you to maybe flip back to pages 8 and 9 and briefly look at those things that you were saying you wanted for your August. And how can they then inform what we set up today? How is that going to inform your self-care? How is it going to inform your health, your relationships? So perhaps you can take that mindset into your goals and your habits and your to-do list. And then I want to point out the little tracker on the bottom. Their first thing that they're looking at is 4 times during the week They're holding themselves accountable to go look at that start, stop, and continue space so that it's keeping it fresh and front and center. That's a really good way to, not fall off the wagon with what we're trying to do with these setups. When I first started doing my journal, I would do my intentions and then, okay, those pages are done, and I'd forget that, they really are our compass into the month. So now let's think about how we want to feel. You know what the week is bringing you. We've got some folks heading back to school. How do that's a big deal. So maybe you need to feel a little confident and or serene because of what your week is going to bring you. If you're feeling burned out, maybe you fall on a word like rested or free. So think about what that week is going to bring you. And there's lots of different ways to I always love this space because it does kind of like, it's like our platform for the week. Lots of words, a quote, some stickers. It's really, really up to you. Stephanie has already dropped in the chat. She is wanting to feel centered this week. So very grounded and focused, it sounds like, is what you're needing, Stephanie. So drop in the chat kind of where you are falling with how you want to feel this week. And because we have Camp Grand Happy, I just want to feel grand happy. That's my feeling this week. Um, then there's some inspiration if you're stuck, and if you are, Alice says she needs to be focused, and then Nicole's like, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to choose. um Erin says refresh. Gloria's embracing our theme. She wants to be enchanted with the different parts of her life. So if you're not sure, put in the chat like what you got going on, and maybe we can get some support in figuring out how to find that word, because sometimes the words don't come, and that's a good time to just throw a sticker there that makes you happy. Heidi's saying engaged. Carly's joining late. Good morning, Carly. Jennifer will drop the mind map question there. Yeah, and Karen also, she's running late too. Y'all don't worry, Jennifer K is on it. She'll drop that mind map question in there so you can pick that back up. Julie is looking for tranquil, and Nicole's just gonna be present. Right. Take your moments as they come. We're going to now take that feeling into those three major goals. Again, calling you to look at your intentions. Even that monthly habit tracker could help guide that. Maybe embracing what your goals will look like using that feeling word, and then pair it with enchantment or carving out the space for those enchanted moments in your day. Let's look at some great examples from y'all. We always love, you don't have to have three goals, you can have two. I love the one in the upper middle. There's two things written there. First one is don't lose my mind over getting the house ready, and the other one is organize and put away stuff. And so, just keeping that's what you need. You can have three, you can have four, you can have one. It's really, really up to you. You can put a quote here. It's again taking what you need with this. You can look at the one in the middle is that grid where they've done four different things, and then they've got their to-dos to make those goals happen, to read, write, move, and work. And they've got little mini lists there to do that. I like me goal, home goal, work goal, like the one you see on the left. And then we can take our to-dos now. And y'all know I share this every once in a while, probably about once a month, once every other month. I just keep this ongoing big O to-do list. These are not really tied to a time frame, but I need to write it down. That's my brain processes it better. And this list will actually go from journal to journal to journal. And I use one of the Scotch it's called Scotch Repositional Glue Stick. So it makes it into a Post-it note. And then as I do things, I mark it off, but I can add to it. But this list informs my weekly to-do list. So I may pull a couple of things off of this they're all the things that need to happen, but they're not all going to happen, right? It's like big. Some of them are really big things. I have a shop. The shopping list is on this list is over on the right. My to dos are over on the left, and then that just helps me sort of go to my to do. So that's a really I think that's a fun suggestion. Like keep this sort of main list going and then you can pull from there so you don't let things slide. But again, if it's time sensitive, it's not going to go on this one. It just goes in my regular one. All righty. So, um, I probably ought to take that to-do list and plug it into the Eisenhower matrix. Of course, this is a tool we like to shout out because it really does help you prioritize all the things that are there. Those of you who are going back to school, maybe you get a little whiteboard and you make an Eisenhower matrix to help you stay focused, because you have a million things. You've got the little things like the bulletin boards and stapling everything to the walls and labeling kids stuff. But then you've got like your lesson plan and your meeting prep. So you put those things in an Eisenhower matrix and it will help you prioritize the big stuff. It'd be great to, you can just keep it for work. And then, you can have an Eisenhower matrix at home and your urgent and important things need to be your self-care and you can put that on there and gosh, I'll put the laundry on delete, right? If that's not the week that you need to have, just don't worry about it. And then of course, dividing that to-do list into different sections is just very helpful to keep your ducks in a row. So there's some great examples of that. Um, you can see the one across the top there. Again, those goals are informing the to-dos. Someone in their to-do list just asked some questions that they're looking at every day. What are the three most important tasks today? How are you going to schedule your time for rejuvenation, that self-care and refilling your cup? They're putting that as a priority. And then I love this question. What's the smallest step forward that you can take to see momentum? So just like breaking it down. It's like, when we say declutter, that's great. Okay. What does that look like? Maybe it's declutter the sock drawer, and that's boom, that's a smaller step. So break it, the more pinpoint you can get, the more successful you're going to see. I love the flower. It's just a fun way to do a to-do list. Stickers, and then of course repurposing into a to-do list. Leave my to-do list goes in my weekly spread. But I leave my to-do list as a to-do list, and that's all the stuff I did that I want to give myself credit for, and I write them down to celebrate that I did do that. Maybe you need a to-be list if you're feeling a lot of overwhelm this week. Perhaps your to-do list becomes, what do I need to be? How can I be good to myself? And so that's front and center on your page, to be grounded, compassionate, reflective, or a not to do list and setting those boundaries. There's some examples of that. And then we love the habit and activity tracker. And this can be kind of thematic. So you could do a morning routine and all your morning routines go here, or an evening self care checklist, like the example you see from our Instagram account. Maybe those are the things, and it's all evening focused, or back to school focused, or work focused in this space. Here, great examples. You can circle days that you want things to happen, of course. Set a goal, don't set a goal. Take the weekend off, that upper middle example. That's that good reminder. Um, let's see if there anything else. Oh, the one down at the bottom, you see there's three things they're tracking: to move, to do the affirmation, and to do the daily ritual. You don't have to fill in all the spaces. It's about taking what you need. And you know, those of you who do feel some overwhelm this week, go easy on yourself. So put some lovely things here that are, you're going to find enchantment, and you're going to be gentle to yourself. Don't keep piling on more and more to do. And then there's some inspiration. So I'm going to put on some music. I'll go all the way back through the beginning of the images for this page while you work on it, and then we'll go look at our next page. Okay, as we were setting up this page, I decided that I'm gonna go with Fairy Tale Friday every Friday, and I'm gonna watch a fun fairy tale movie every week and or a show, and it it could be a grown-up show like Bridgerton, or, maybe I'll pull up Enchanted, haven't watched that in a while, and that's where I got a lot of this fun music, from that soundtrack. But I'm gonna do Fairy Tale Friday to bring a little enchantment to end my weekday, for the month. I just decided as I'm hanging out with y'all. So I wrote Fairy Tale Friday on Friday. Um, so let's now flip to the second part of our setup. This is that page that has all the spaces that can be used in all the ways. So I've got some fun examples to show you this morning from you all. You can see both of these folks are kind of repurposing that meal plan space. We can use this as a meal planner, a food tracker, a macro tracker. But this person on the left is saying it's me time. And the person on the right is doing doodles and design doodles. I had to get closer. Doodles and designs in their space, but look along the edge of the water droplets. Their main meal for the day is written in right next to those water droplets, which I think is such a great idea. So, like we kind of do that. We like plan our one main meal, but we really don't worry about breakfast and lunch. We're sort of on our own and do our own thing. So I love just squeezing that in and then saving that meal plan space for other things. Mind body health plan. You see the one on the left is about meditation and movement. And so probably doing a little tracking of what's going on there. The one on the right, mind body health quotes. Love that because August is mental wellness month, and just writing in a happy quote every day, or maybe your affirmation goes there. And then their shopping list is kind of divided up into home needs and business needs. But then below that, kind of doing a little things with their values and what they value. And instead of writing numbers, they did little dice in in each one of those little squares. So number one, the dice number is there. And I just thought that was cute. That was just kind of a fun way. But the things like doing some me time and journal time and those real focused self-care moments. So love these two examples to share with you. Of course, I always say I do a bingo in my shopping list. The bingo theme changes depending on the time of the year, but I'm a bingo girl. I love that. So here's some examples from the meal tracker. Again, you could use it as a symptom tracker, a daily debrief, daily scripture, school starting. Maybe this is your business or homework or schoolwork reminder, and you put things there. You could do, gosh, a clothing tracker. A lot of folks will use this as a reflection space, so you can see there's the grateful, learned, achieved, and delighted that they are using this space for. The word of the day, skullduggery, is that word, but you could do a word a day, wardrobe tracker, chore list. Always remember those water droplets. And if you're needing a little more mindfulness, especially if you're having a crazy week, there are 8 water droplets, 8 hours of the day. Maybe you do a little check in, do a couple of deep breaths, and color in a water droplet as a tracker for something that you're doing on the top of the hour every hour, like while you're at work or whatever. Just a suggestion there. I love putting post-it notes here on the meal plan, and then you can write the journal prompt, and then underneath your response goes. So again, lots of great inspiration from y'all. Make sure you're putting some type of rest into your week, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's on your big monthly habit wheel. Maybe, it's your end of day reflection, but really try to make sure you're putting rest as an activity somewhere in your journal. If you are working on just what type of rest you need, I encourage you to check out the 7 types of rest. Some people like to pick a type of rest for each day to plug in here and then do an activity that reflects that type of rest. Other people, like maybe you need sensory rest. And so your whole week will be revolved around unplugging, wearing blue light glasses, putting your phone down X time of day, not picking it up until X time of day. So maybe, you embrace one type of rest for your whole week, for your whole month, whatever you need. I also like feels and meals that could be maybe, your emotion. I'm an emotional eater. I will fess up. That's how I self-care in a very bad way a lot of times. So maybe I need to like incorporate, if I'm wanting to eat, how am I feeling emotionally? But this could also be somewhat of a symptom tracker, and maybe you eat and then you write down how you feel. So if you have some issues that you're trying to figure out, why do I feel this way? Is what food is causing this? Self-care plan, weekly reflection. Let's go to the mind body health space. This is a great spot. I always tell you it's my selfish space. This is what I'm going to do for me. There is a difference between self-soothing and self-care. And there's not a right or wrong, because you need to take what you need. But self-care is something that's more of a long-term idea. The things that you're doing for self-care is going to affect you in probably more dramatic ways, whereas self-soothing is more like in the moment. So that, for me is like, I'm gonna take a hot shower, and just be with myself, or, turn on, a binge worthy show that I'll be doing. But the self-care is a little, I always kinda it's a little more of the grown-up stuff, the real life stuff. One of my self-care things that I do is it has to do with my budget, because I get anxious in my financial life. I have no reason to. Well, I do. It's growing up. And so my self-care is making sure that I'm interacting with my budget and and that just does such a good thing for my mind when I'm taking care of that kind of grown-up thing. So I hope that helps you as you're figuring out what you need from your week, from your month. Some simple self-care. Look at that fun graphic. That is the five senses. So maybe you put this somewhere in how are you going to embrace your five senses? What does that look like through the lens of enchantment? Or you do a little journal prompt, self-esteem journal prompt, like you see there, where you just take a little moment and do that. And again, these can be in any of these spaces. It doesn't have to be in, the mind body health space. Some more ideas for framing that out. We're seeing the alliteration day. I put that there again. And then, cleaning list. Look at the one on the bottom left. Remember how I was talking about the 7 types of rest? This person is leaning into embracing fully emotional rest for the week, and has written down the ways they're going to do that. So just that good reminder. And I love the one on the right-hand side, all those W words: walk, water, watch, wait, want. That's kind of a fun way to set that up. Some more fun ways to set it up. Again, we've got some cleaning lists. Do you play Wordle? Maybe you're tracking that somewhere. And then the shopping list again can be used like a shopping list, like you see over on the bottom of that page there, but lots of repurposing. Here's some great ideas from y'all. If you are having a fun week, like I know there's some anniversary stuff going on. If it's your birthday, if somebody you love is having a birthday or a celebration, make a little fun bingo board and go very centric on that. I've already made my bingo board in my shopping list for next week, because it is my anniversary. And so I wanted to make sure that I got that down. And I have done a little bingo board where it is focused on me, it is focused on Jim, and it is focused on us. So I have 3 different lines with the little boxes, and I'll share that next week, of what my little anniversary bingo board looks like. So I think that's a fun way to embrace those special days in your life. Of course, we want to make sure we're checking in with the people that are in our lives through something like a social check-in. I actually will put this in my weekly tracker or my monthly tracker, my habit wheel, and I'll write the initials of whoever I talk to. And then finally, what are you loving? So we've got a lot of good time to work on this page. I'll go back to the beginning of this page so that you can get another look at that. If you saw something that inspired you, grab a screenshot. Maybe you won't use it this week, but it'll be something you'll want to try at a later date. And then let us know, do you change any of these up? How do are you using your meal planner for a meal planner? Let us know that kind of stuff and what's worked for you, what you've tried. And then we'll finish up. And oh, you'll want to hang around because I have some fun things to share with you. All righty. So while you are finishing up these sections, I want to make sure that you have dropped in the chat what you're loving. Have you discovered a new product? Are you reading a great book or found a new binge-worthy show? Drop that in the chat. Let us share those things that we are loving in our life. This is a fun one to do that reflection on. Maybe it's your one big thing from last week We would love to see your setup in Sonder Club so that we can be re-inspired by pulling that. Oh, Taylor Jenkins Reid is such a good author. Nicole, I love her. And I'm asking you, do you want some tea? And I love these little bunnies, herbal or verbal. So I've got some stuff to tell you about. We've got a 14-day free trial of our Silk and Sonder lifestylist, your personal coach. If you've been on the fence, this is a great way to get your toes wet. There's no obligation. You can cancel after you've done all the onboarding and it takes in all your information. Those of you who are using Jenny know how impactful it can be. We've also got some new things through that app. That one of them is Your Life as a Movie. Maybe it will come up with your fairy tale title, but here is Mayha's, and it's her title is A Visionary Hustle, a West Coast story. And it just really kind of wraps the idea of who Mayha is in that description, that movie description. So I love that's just kind of a fun thing, but also the Wheel of Life now. All those data points can be input and refreshed as they change, and you will be able to track that. You will get these data analysis, and you'll be able to see the ebbs and flows of life and know kind of like, I think back if this had been available like during COVID when we all had these weird lives, like what things would have looked like, and we could easily look and go, oh, 2020, we know what was going on then. We'd have all the data in one place. So you'll be able to keep this front and center and aligned with that, as well as use the text to speech journaling prompts. Finally, I would say, Janine, kind of if you have a big life change, she's asking how often to check in. We do usually put the Wheel of Life in the journals on a quarterly basis. So it's really, are you working on something? Maybe you want to do a month to month analysis, and then maybe you want to take a break from that and do it quarterly. I'm going to get to do an exclusive this month about rewriting our fairy tale, and I'm very excited and want to invite you. There is a nominal fee to register for that. Jennifer dropped the chat link or the link in the chat, so it'll take you to Eventbrite. But I'm very excited about this one and just how we can embrace the goodness and the good things in our life. And then finally, there's my playlist, and I'll share the link to my Spotify. But yes, I had a lot of fun doing our playlist here. I will see y'all for setup next Monday evening. Just bear with us with that one little glitchy glitch. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining Team Jennifer in setting up your journal and looking for those little moments of enchantment. I'll see you in Sonder Club until next week.